Alright, so let me show you how to quickly configure a very simple website with Pages CMS. And what we'll use is we'll use my blog, which has a few entries, not that many. It's built with Jekyll, probably built it more than 10 years ago. And I think it's a good example because it's fairly low amount of complexity, but you'll get the gist of how to actually go and create a configuration file. So let's start with signing up with GitHub. I'm logged in. Once I'm in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the repo where the code for my blog is at. There you go. And as you can see, it detected that I don't have a configuration file. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, well, click the button and it's going to create a .pages.yml file at the root of my repo. And we can actually go and check this. As you can see, there you go. That's the repo, and we can see that a .pages.yml file was just created. And let's get started with like a pretty simple first setting, which is the media folder. We're gonna set it up to the files subfolder. I'm gonna save that. Here I'm gonna click on apply new settings, and there you go. I have now the files folder presented as the the media folder here, and I would be able to do all the regular kind of things that you would do with such a folder. I'd be able to upload files, I can drag and drop files directly in there, I can create new folders, I can delete and reorganize my files, and all the usual stuff. Okay, so we have the media folder set up now. Time to actually go and look at content. And since we have the repo open there, I'm going to show you what we have, which is mostly the stuff I'm interested in adding to the CMS for now. Is just the posts, and so this would be an example of it's actually the latest post that I posted that kind of give you a sense of the structure of the content. We have body, and then we have 5 fields here. So let's see how we configure this in the content array. First thing is I'm going to add the machine name for posts, then a nice label for the interface. I'm going to define it as a collection, which is a collection of files, like the blog post would be. They all have the same schema as opposed to type single. We'll look into this later on, which would be a single file that has also a schema, but it's just only one occurrence of that file. And I'm going to define the path. So it's all those posts are actually in the underscore posts subfolder, which is pretty usual for Jekyll blog. And then on to then defining the fields. So let's add, for example, the first one was title, right? It's a string. There you go. I already prepared it. I'm going to call it title because that's the key we have here in the YAML formatter. The label for the interface, and then its type string. Second one is going to be layout. Now layout is interesting because it's not, I shouldn't really have it really. It's still there, and I've never really taken the time to go and rework the code. All of my posts have the same layout, which is post, so supposedly I could actually go and save me the trouble of adding it to every single post, but it's there. But in this case I can just add that field layout, type string, and I do two things. I hide it because it's hidden true, and I set the default value to post, which means that it won't show up in the form, but it will be set by default to post, which is what I want. Okay, next field is date. I'm actually just adding date. It's not in the schema, but I want to go and use it later on, so just bear with me for a second. Then we have the comments setting here, which is allowing me to switch on or off the comments that I have at the end of the page, which don't show here because I think there's a bug, but let's assume, oh no, it's not a bug, it's because it's not on the full page view of the post. But if you go and click on the post itself and not on the front page, you'll see that at the bottom I have old school discuss comments, and they're on and off by having that comments true. So it's a boolean. I'm going to default it to true. I want a comments by default, and the rest is just the same you've already seen a bunch of times. The machine name and the label. Next one is the description, which is used for the, I think, the meta tag. And I'm defining it as a string. The only difference here is I'm adding a max length of 160 in the options, and you'll see that for all those fields that I'm using, you have a bunch of special options that you can use, or at least most of them have. In the case of string, you can specify min length and max length, and I'll just define a minimum length and maximum length, which not only will apply to the form, but will also run validation when you submit the entry. So it's description. The next field, from what I remember, was image, and there you go. It's an image. It's type image for the field, and then the last one, which is mandatory, is body, which is a rich text field. So that's it. That just like mirror exactly what I have here, the body and then the 5 fields. The only thing that I've added is the date field. I'm going to save this. Again, I'm going to apply the settings. And as soon as I've done that, I can see now the post collection shows up here. Great. And I can see that my posts are all listed here. Great. And I can go to the form, and I could, if I wanted to, just edit anything I want. I could switch off the comments. I could go on here and edit the files, the images, maybe replacing it with a nice picture of Chuck Norris. Oh, didn't work. Oh, no, here it is. And add links, do whatever you would do in a regular CMS. And yeah, that's pretty much how you would set it up. Let me just do one more thing here, though, to introduce you to at least like a few more things. Now, you already have search, and you're already going to see the title, but I like to, in this case, also view for the view the collection, the view of the collection. I'd like to see as well the date, and so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do title and date in that order, because I want to have the title first. I'm going to save that, apply it again, and when I navigate back, there you go. I have the date. It's here. As you can see, I haven't blogged in a few years. Yeah, last thing that I would say here. Obviously, you have a bunch of other things. You can add an entry, and if you create a new post, and add a folder. By default, Pages CMS supports subfolders, so that can be helpful, especially if you do things like localization, or in the case of what we'll see in a second for the documentation section of the Pages CMS website. You may want to go and organize the pages in subfolders, but you have search here, and you can do the regular kind of search, but it's Lunar under the hood, so it supports all the nice kind of like syntax that it has, right? So, for example, you can, in that case, search yes, but only in the title field, and not like the entirety of the post. I'm assuming those 2 other posts have yes somewhere in their body. You can do things like fuzzy search and boost and all kind of other things. You can, I think the documentation is linked somewhere in the Pages CMS documentation, and you can find all the type of things you can do with Node.js. And that's it, really. Now we have that set up. Let's look at a slightly more complex setting for the Pages CMS website. Let me select first the repo, and I'll only look at like a couple things that I think are interesting. As I mentioned, it supports subfolder, and in this case, all those subfolders here are helpful because I'm able to define them as children of the configuration page. So all those entries in the configuration subfolder match the configuration. They're just children of configuration. Anyway, back to then the configuration for the website. I think here we can look at a few things. The first thing that you would notice here is media is not a simple string. In the case of my blog, I just said like all my files are in files and that's enough. But in some cases, the input and output are not the same. So the files in my case for this website, the media files are in the src/media subfolder, but when I save them in the content, I want to save them with the /media prefix, not src/media. And that's helpful because I can do that when saving, and so that's what the input and output settings are. And there's a bunch of other settings you can have for media. I'll let you go and look into the documentation if you're interested. Moving on, I think other thing to notice here is the additional settings that you have for view that are all documented in the docs section of the website, so you can have a look at this, but you can define default search, default sort, and order, and all kinds of other things. You can also look at here, we have a single type, which is a single file. So that's why there's first a type single, and then there's the path is actually not the path of the collection, but like the specific file that I want to go and expose. What else? I think nested fields, you can do that with type object. And I think the next thing to go and look at as well is here the list true. What it allows me to do here, we can have a look at it in a second, is defining this as being just a list. So switching back to, for example, in this case, the home page, you can see that I have, for the entries in the feature section, I have multiple entries. I can drag and drop them, reorder them. I can remove entries, and then I can add entries. So if I want to go and add a new entry in that features section, I can do it easily. Same goes for FAQ. So it's that kind of list true keyword that you can apply to any fields. And then last thing that I can show you here is also the fact that I'm defining format HTML for the body here. So I'm defining not it as a rich text but code, and specifically I'm saying it's actually HTML because it is more or less HTML, right? It's an HTML template, nunchucks template. So that's about it. That's what I wanted to go and show you. Hopefully that's helpful. Again, all the details are in the configuration section, and hope that helps.